I've just read Umineko's first episode, and I can definitely say that everything is all fun and games until people start getting killed. Brutally, mercilessly, impossibly. Each murder has weird, magical connotations, which force us to doubt whether the murderer was a human and a member of the Ushinomiya family, or if it was Beatrice, the Golden Witch. I'm Jeddarend, and today we're going to explore the magical topics in episode 1 I find the most interesting. These are the 4 magical symbols, the 7th pentacle of the sun, the 1st circle of the moon, and the 3rd and 5th circles of Mars. Firstly, I'd like to explore the significance of each symbol and their overall meaning. We're going to be looking at this from an entirely magical point of view, and how it would benefit Beatrice if she was the culprit. Let's start with the 7th pentacle of the sun. This can be seen on the shutter of the storehouse the first 6 bodies were discovered in, and on Natsuhi's doorway after somebody attempted to murder her. This pentacle is quite literally used for borrowing the power of the sun, and this frees the user from any severe mental or physical bonds they may have. Physical bonds are more literal things that hold you back, for example a prison. Mental bonds, obviously more metaphorical stuff. The VN gives the examples of ties of obligation, inescapable fates. If I had to guess, these ties of obligation that Beatrice are breaking through are the ones that she has to Kinzo. Maybe the inescapable fate that's being destroyed could be the one in which Beatrice doesn't have enough power to revive in. Around the pentacle, an extract of Psalms 116 verse 16 to 17 can be found, and it reads, "The Lord has freed me from my chains. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call on the name of the Lord." Now, to me, as somebody who's only read episode 1, interpreting this quote is annoyingly difficult. I don't really know enough about the plot to confidently say if there's a being so powerful that even Beatrice would consider them a god. Let's just remove it from the picture, create an interpretation based on what we do know. Beatrice has been freed from the restraints caused by insufficient power. Instead of the Lord, she's going to offer the magic circle, the power gained by sacrificing 6. In return, she's going to become a godlike being with the sheer amount of power she has. This interpretation definitely doesn't add up though, and if Beatrice isn't the culprit, oh my god, it's even more inaccurate. Inside the cross, the angels and rulers of the classic elements, air, fire, water, and earth, can be found. Elements can be viewed as sources of power and protection, which is definitely what I'd assume this pentacle offers Beatrice. Interestingly enough, in magical tradition, if you combine and perfect these elements, then you are offered the elixir of eternal life. An example you'll probably know is the Philosopher's Stone, which is featured in Harry Potter. Okay, I'm really grasping at straws here, but could this potentially have some symbolism for Beatrice gaining the power of somebody who's indestructible, immortal? I really don't know. This pentacle also explains why the 6 were sacrifices. They were sacrifices for the magic circle's power to come into full effect. Think about it, this pentacle literally borrows power from the sun. I think it's safe to say that it will take a lot to gain sufficient power for its usage, so of course Beatrice will require a lot of sacrifices. Why do sacrifices give her more power though? Well, spiritual belief says that sacrifices create an exchange of energy between the practitioner, i.e. Beatrice, and the spiritual energies of the sun that are being brought into effect. This exchange of energy would then help strengthen the power of Beatrice's intentions and the desired outcome of the ritual, which would make success more likely. And yes, I agree, it is bloody disgusting. The next magical circle is the 1st circle of the moon, which appears on the door of the room Eva and Hideyoshi were killed in. Beatrice used this pentacle to prove that none of the murders could have possibly been done by a human, so that everyone could give in to her existence. This circle has 2 effects. One is to open any door, regardless of whether it's locked or not, conveniently enough. Ironically, it's in the shape of a door. The other is the power to find new solutions in impossible situations, which can literally be the difference between victory and defeat. The Hebrew verse written on the pentacle was taken from Psalms 117 verse 16, and it translates to, "For he has broken gates of brass and cuts through bars of iron." I like to interpret this phrase metaphorically. The brass gates trap somebody in an inescapable scenario. The cutting of these gates would free them of the previously unchangeable fate they had. I like to then think of the iron bars as a representation of fate itself. If Beatrice has the strength to break through the restraints from killing Eva and Hideyoshi, she will undoubtedly be able to cut through the iron bars limiting the options of her fate. She'll be able to bend them to her own will, creating her own destiny. The pentacle itself is used to invoke the power of the spirits of the moon. On the right hand side, IHVH and various other acronyms that represent IHVH can be found. This IHVH is the 4-letter biblical name of the God of Israel and is considered one of the most sacred and significant names in Judaism. The arrangement of letters itself is called the tetragrammaton. Tetra in Greek means 4. Gramma then means letter. Combine the two together, you quite literally get 4 letters. Now, I think this shows two things. Firstly, the usage of this pentagram breaks through the limits of what humanity could possibly do by itself. Could it be because of the fact that divine energy from a being above the rank of a human was used? Secondly, I think it shows the absurd extent of power Beatrice gained from the previous 6 sacrifices. If she has the power to use divine energy from godlike beings, how can anybody even have a chance of stopping her? The only thing I can think of is maybe the epitaph, because of the last line. On the left hand side of this circle, names of 4 angels could be found. I tried searching quite a bit for these angels' backgrounds, but I really couldn't find anything, apart from the fact they're listed on this circle. I'm just going to assume that these angels have special power that's gained when this pentacle is used. This next magical symbol does not symbolise Zelda. It is, instead, the 3rd magic circle of Mars, and it suddenly appeared on a table in Kinzo's study, even though there was a high probability of nobody having any means of putting it there. What's even weirder is that this magic circle's symbolism predicted their downfall before it even happened. This is because of the circle's meaning of discord, chaos. Its function is to make the enemy bring about their own downfall by losing trust of the one thing that makes them strong, their allies. The magic circle also has a biblical quote from Psalm 77 verse 13, saying, "What God is so great as our God?" I think the meaning behind the quote goes a little like this. People believe in their God and refuse to see understanding in anyone else's views. They're convinced that their God is the only God that truthfully exists. They feel superiority to anyone else for believing in gods that are, to them, lesser than theirs. The believer could then become hostile to the other parties for different beliefs, and they justify this due to it helping the credibility of their god. The hostility will make them bring about their own consequences, which could lead to their downfall. On the circle, ways of referring to the God of the Hebrew Bible can be found. Shaddai, the Almighty, can be found outside the triangle. Eloah? I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but it means our God, and it can be seen inside the triangle. Let's also explore the connotations with Mars this magic circle has. Mars is seen as a planet associated with warfare and conflict, as its reddish colour is reminiscent of blood. In astrology, every planet is believed to have its own set of energies and influences towards magical acts. Mars's energy being harnessed by the magic circle, in my opinion, is a means of overcoming enemies and bringing about their own downfall. The letter in the middle of the circle is also significant when thinking about Mars. This is the great Hebrew letter Vav. One of Vav's powerful meanings is a hook. If you look at this metaphorically, you could say that this circle hooks Beatrice to the Martian powers and establishes a strong connection. The triangles in this magic circle also help it to operate. The equal geometric shape of an equilateral triangle symbolises perfection, strength and stability. Beatrice has all 3 of these things from her enemies' inabilities to defeat her. The last magic symbol is the 5th magic circle of Mars, which can be found on the doors of Kinzo's study and in the charms Maria gave Jessica and Battler. This is the only magic circle in episode 1 that is actually used for good intentions. It acts as an opposition to magic and can harm those with magical associations, like Beatrice. Having this magical circle nearby can literally save your life, like it did with Natsuhi. It only won't save you in the worst case scenario. This is where a familiar immune to the power of the magic circle does the witch's dirty work for her. Let's analyse the components of this circle, starting with the elephant. Wait, hang on a second, that's inaccurate. The scorpion in the room. In some cultures, scorpions can be seen as a symbol of protection, as they ward off evil spirits. They have venomous stings and can literally kill somebody, so if they're on your side, they're a great means of defence. The scorpion's defence is so effective that the mere sight of this magic circle is enough to terrify evil beings. Around the magic circle, the word HVL can be found. The meaning of this word really differs with context. Normally, it means breath. In this case though, it means terror, and it represents the doom brought to the bad spirits who see this circle. The circle also contains a Bible quote from Psalms 91 verse 13. It reads, "Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet." Now this really is quite a disgusting analogy. The circle basically lets one be so immune to evil opposition that they can literally trample on their enemies. These enemies normally would be able to kill you without question, i.e. the lions and dragons. If you link this to Umineko, it's just like Beatrice's ability to kill the Ushinomiyas. She can do it with her eyes closed. Also, remember that this is the 5th magic circle off Mars. In my opinion, it's based on Mars because of, again, its links to war. On the battlefield, it is compulsory to fight, but it's even more important to protect yourself from the enemy. This magic circle's Martian connotations let that priority take place, and ensures as much as possible that the enemy is hindered by your defence. There we are guys, the in and outs of those magical symbols. There is just one thing we haven't covered yet, the thing they have in common, their origin. All of these magical symbols mentioned are featured in a grimoire, which is a fancy way of saying a book of magical knowledge and spells, called the Key of Solomon. King Solomon, a 40-year-long ruler of ancient Israel, reigned from 990 to 931 BC. He was a very high-achieving, yet controversial and harsh man who held a major influence over the country. His influence can be seen in his commission for the first temple of Jerusalem. It was a central political symbol of ancient Israel until 536 BC, which was when it was destroyed, 400 years after it was built. He also has a few entries to the Bible, like the Song of Solomon, which is a collection of poems about human love. Why is he significant to this plot though? Well, here's where the connection comes. It's because of the immense amount of spiritual and magical knowledge he was believed to have. This magical side of him was what the Key of Solomon was derived from, over 2,000 years after he lived. Do keep in mind that this is a pseudepigraphical text, i.e. Solomon didn't actually write it himself, but a lot of the ideas in the text were based on him. The Key of Solomon has 2 variants, the Greater Key and the Lesser Key. The Greater Key dates back to the 14th to 15th centuries. It's mainly themed around ceremonial magic, and provides instructions for rituals, spells, and the creations of talismans. The Lesser Key is a little bit more recent, dates back to the 17th century, and is divided into 5 different parts. The most significant part is, 0 out of 10 pronunciation time, the Ars Goetia? It features detailed descriptions about 72 demons, and how to summon each and every one of them. Each demon is ranked into a hierarchy, having a different role or function, each with their own magical symbols, like for example circle, pentagram, sigil, stuff like that. An example of these is the mysterious Gap. We don't really know much about her, but apparently she can teleport anywhere. She can carry people to their desired locations, creating the perfect closed room. This right here is the 33rd demon in the Lesser Key, also called Gap. This is probably what she was based on. It's also quite intriguing that a lot of the content in these keys contains ritualistic magic, the type Kinzo specialises in. There's gotta be a connection somewhere. I also want to analyse the noun key in Key of Solomon's title, obviously. Literally, keys are used to open doors. Metaphorically though, keys are tools for unlocking the answers of mysteries and secret knowledge. The Key of Solomon, metaphorically, could be a means of unlocking the hidden secrets in Solomon's magic. You knew it was coming, let's tie it to Umineko. There is a line in the witch's epitaph that reads, "There sleeps the key to the Golden Land." And it proves that by researching mystery, I've created even more mystery. How is that even possible? I don't even know now if the Golden Land's key is real or not. If it's physical, where the hell is it found? How is it used? If it's metaphorical, what does it represent? What's it going to unlock? And how? Anyway, this wraps up everything I wanted to talk about today. It was really insightful researching this, it was quite fun as well. These discoveries really did make Umineko's first episode more interesting, as I can now interpret and theorise it in ways I never could have done before. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!